Peace, love, and light, everyone. This is Coach Ali, better known as True Lioness, also Ashaki Ali, and I'm coming in with video number 2 regarding books that changed to help to shape my life. The second book that I'm going to discuss this morning, just for a short time, is the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read that book when I was about 9 years old the first time. I've read it many times. Let me just back up a little bit. So in the first video, I told you I learned to read very early. As I began to read and explore the library, I found that there were not books that appealed to my particular taste and the things that I was very interested in. And I progressed pretty quickly as far as reading levels that they call it now, because I started reading so early. So after I'd already gone through all of the, the Dr. Seuss's and the Old Mother Hubbard and, all of these things, I began to look for and seek out books that spoke to the individual that I was, which is an African woman or African child in this country of America. And there were none that I could find. So the librarian actually became my friend, one of my closest friends until the time she died. And I told her what my desire was, and she began to search out those types of books to get them in the library for me. She was able to get her hands on books on Phyllis Wheatley, Harriet Tubman, Langston Hughes, which is one of my very favorite people in history, Zora Neale Hurston, and many others. But even with reading their stories, I still was wanting something else, and that was that revolutionary type of speech and spirit that lived within me that I had not identified as of yet. So I actually didn't get that book from the local library. I got it from the school library. I was in the teen section, and I just stumbled across the book. I'd heard of Malcolm X before, of course, because of my family's political dealings and sharing of stories from, the olden times. And so I got that book. I read it in maybe a day and a half the first time. That book touched me so deeply, and things that had occurred in my life in regards in racial, in a race relation aspect, became very clear to me, the beast which is racism. It became crystal clear the things that I dealt with were not just circumstantial or happenstance, or just because whatever, what have you. This is a beast that has existed for many years, and Malcolm is one of our esteemed ancestors, and I hold him in a very high regard. Let me be very clear, a lot of who I am as an individual in regards to how I relate to people and the way that I see the world and the things that I have been involved with and in are because of El Hajj El Malik El Shabazz, who is Malcolm X. So let's not, I'm not going to mince my words regarding, and yes, I am described as soft and fluffy a lot of times. However, in regards to that aspect of my personality and my life, I hold him in a very high regard. So back to the book. The book described Malcolm's childhood, and we have some similar things in our life. My father was a pastor, as was his. My family, on that particular side of my family, from what I understand, were Garveyites. And some of my other ancestors were Garveyites. His father was a Garveyite. The whole Back to Africa movement by another honorable, esteemed ancestor, Marcus Messiah Garvey. At that time, he was a very prolific man, and his plan to take the Africans that are trapped here in America into Africa and build wealth was a great plan. Unfortunately, he never saw it to fruition because of traitors within our own race. Nevertheless, Malcolm's father was a Garveyite, and he was murdered because of his outspokenness in the way that he taught. So in that regard, I understood. His mother suffered from mental illness, as did mine. He went to prison. Now, I've never been to prison, but the real prison, and he spoke about this, is a prison within our own minds. We were deaf, dumb, and blind. He was too. He was a hoodlum, robbing people's houses, doing drugs and all these things. And I've had my times, being in the streets as well, making poor choices. So as I read the book and I went through everything in regards to Malcolm's journey to become from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X to El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, I saw, even though I was a child, I knew that his journey was going to make a massive imprint upon my own journey, and it certainly has. Malcolm taught on respecting women and women respect themselves, and he has a speech, and it is on YouTube if you want to hear some of his speeches. One of his speeches is, who taught you to hate yourselves? Who taught you to hate your hair and to hate your color? He was very much very outspoken in regards to us loving ourselves for who ourselves and who we truly are. And I was very proud to have been able to be exposed to him, even though he was taken from us very early. He has left an indelible mark upon the history of the world and of our people. And so for that, I'm very grateful to have been touched in such a huge way. And that book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, sparked something within me to begin to seek out more books speaking on those issues, and also for me to begin to continue to discover myself, who I really am. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. If you so, I'm not going to speak long on these videos because I have about 3 more that I'm going to do to speak on books that help to change and transform and shape my life today. But if you have not read the book, it is a very old book. It was written when he was still living. But I encourage you to please pick up a copy. I bought a new copy and have, encouraged my children to read the book. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to do so. There may be some jewels there for you as well. When I went back and reread the book with a fresh set of eyes, I was re-inspired in a new way. So I encourage you, if you haven't read it, please read it. I hope you guys are enjoying me sharing the books that have helped to shape my life. Stay tuned for another video coming up probably early next week, I want to think. And then I'll move on until the next series of videos. So until the next time, you guys take care of yourselves, each other. I love you all so much. Peace, light, and abundant bliss to everyone. Take care. Holla at y'all later.